Hello, and welcome to the iText podcast. We talk to managers and developers about document management and innovation, and how businesses can use and benefit from using open source PDF technology in their projects. iText Software is a global specialist in PDF. We have two product lines, one with developer tools and one with document solutions. In our developer tools, our iText 7 SDK is a leading PDF library used by millions of open source users worldwide and more than 70% of the Fortune 50. As for document solutions, in 2019 we released iText Ditto, which enables developers and business users to develop PDFs collaboratively. Welcome, Gideon and Xander. Let's begin by talking about the background of Capgemini as a company, specifically what services it provides, how your team fits into the overall organization, and how you use iText Ditto.
Welcome, everybody. We're all employees of Capgemini. Capgemini is quite a big system integrator company, providing consulting services around IT and IT implementation, and doing IT implementations typically for our clients. And we work, with the Fortune 500, the big companies, typically international, multinational companies. And that's the majority of the work. When I say big company, we have about 300,000 employees worldwide. So it's quite a sizable company that we're having, with a lot of people throughout the world. Actually, we're a multinational ourselves, big hubs in the US, big hubs in Europe, India, and the rest of Asia as well. But the people you're talking to right now are kind of the unicorns within that company, which is also the name of the project. When we started it many years ago, 3 years ago, we started Project Unicorn, in the sense that unlike all of the 99% of the other work we do as Capgemini, in this case, we're developing a business ourselves, meaning setting up an organization, providing a call center, providing a back office, providing an IT platform, providing IT staff, risk management, compliance, security, the whole organization actually, and we're doing that specifically in pensions, so pensions administration. And that's quite unique, because typically we work for banks or McDonald's or Cisco or some multinational, and we basically build what the client asks us to build. In this case, we're kind of like our own client, so we set up our own office with our own office employees. And at the same time as we define the business processes, we've built the underlying IT platform from scratch. So that's fundamentally different than a lot of work that we do. And we did it in a kind of lean startup model. We started really small, and Xander, who we have in the call, he's one of the legends that started all the way in the beginning. We had like a 5-person team, including myself, so really small team. Yeah, quite a journey. And in that aspect, quite a special journey. It's not very often that we provide this kind of full package that we do today, including office and call centers and back offices and everything. And since it's pensions, right, we are doing pension administration on behalf currently of a single pension fund, but a sizable one at that. So the pension fund has around 1.5 million participants. And we interact with those, and we also interact with the employers that set aside the money for your pension, right? So you work really hard, and a little bit of that money gets set aside for your pension. So we also interact with around, I would say, 39,000 employers in the retail sector. So that's anything from little mom and dad shops all the way to bigger companies with hundreds of employees. And so we work with those people as well. And then everything to do with pension administration. And since it's to do with pensions, still a lot of it is revolving around documents. and that's where iText comes in. So we send a couple of hundred letters a day for various reasons, and we need to generate these letters ourselves. And so that's basically what we do. Our platform generates the letters and sends them off to the printing partner who prints them, and then they go into the Dutch Postal Service for delivery. And yeah, that's kind of how that works. And you'd be surprised by the amount of letters you need to generate when you're in pensions. But especially if you're retired, of course, every month you get your pension. So that needs to be specified, and you get the specification of that. And so that's it in a nutshell, I think. So to paint the picture and complete the picture, so within this huge company, we're a very small village running pension services. Yeah, and we've got teams in the Netherlands and teams in Vietnam and teams in India from the IT perspective, and then business is running from the Netherlands, but also we have a back office in Poland. So that kind of describes us in a nutshell. I could talk about this for hours, but let's save a bit of time for other things.
Were you using the iText PDF library for PDF tasks beforehand, or did you start using iText Ditto from scratch?
From scratch, really. Everything we've built is from scratch. So basically the entire solution has been designed from scratch since the beginning. And in our architecture phase, that's when we landed on iText, because we really like the features of iText, and it's a very cost-effective system for us as well. So we took that decision and put it in our architecture and built it, and now we're using it. We're literally, at the heydays, we're generating thousands and thousands of these letters, especially at the end of the year. It's really big. Yeah. So we've just done. I think in December alone, generated almost 900,000 letters. So yeah, we're a big consumer. At least we think we're big, but maybe not according to you guys. But sure. Yeah, from scratch, everything. Yeah.
Can you describe how iText Ditto integrates with your custom document management solution and with Salesforce?
Exactly. Yeah. So we built an integration layer for architectural reasons, and then we have iText running on a virtual machine inside that landscape. So we're maintaining that virtual machine as well. And of course, we tried everything in a proof of concept phase, to see that it really works. And it does what it says on the box, right? It generates the letters for us, and it does so relatively smoothly. How easy it is to use as a developer, of course, that's not for me to answer. I'll leave that to Xander and Lok maybe to answer that. But we've proven that it works, and we did, of course, some volume testing as well with iText. Can we generate letters at a sufficient volume in a short amount of time? Do we get the performance that we need when we need to print out really lots and lots of letters? And so far, it's okay. Yeah, it's quite stable.
Were you looking for any specific features or capabilities when evaluating iText Ditto? And did you look at any other PDF software to achieve your goals before choosing iText Ditto?
We did some investigation, but it kind of matched what we needed to do. So we do have lots of different types of letters, and Xander can maybe talk a bit more about it. So there's many different types. Pensions, a pension administration. It basically needs to respond to kind of live events. So when you get married, when you have kids, when you at the end of your life, when you pass away, something, when you retire. And for all these situations, there's different letters. So we looked for a solution that relatively easily allows us to manage templates and template texts, and also it needs to be multilingual, obviously, so that we can have letters being sent out in multiple languages. And it should be cost effective because also pensions, it's not like we're selling anything, right? We're not selling a pension, right? We're providing a pension. So everything needs to be cost effective in the end. So the more cost effective we are, the more pension, of course, gets paid out to the participants. So that's also something that's important to us. And we just landed on iText and we liked it. Actually, that's kind of how that process went. And never used anything since.
You mentioned the requirement to support documents in multiple languages. So are you currently using iText Ditto support for complex writing systems and scripts?
Not yet, not yet. So we started out because we're based in the Netherlands, right? And especially elder people, they typically have Dutch as a language, but in order to cater for some migrant part of the population, we also use English, and that's kind of where we settled at right now. However, it's a new business model, and we're also exploring international opportunities with this business. So we need to know that we have a solution in place that can deal with multiple languages if we start to approach wider international communities. So we don't have that requirement per se, but it might pop up in the future for sure. Yeah, depending on where we land another client.
Do you have specific template designers, or is that also handled by your development team?
The design of so we're basically running a lot of this pension administration independently, but there is a pension fund that's ultimately responsible for this, and they outsource a lot of that work. What this client and most clients will keep is the look and feel and design of how they communicate and what language they use in communication. So basically, we get the design given to us by the pension fund that wants to communicate. They have their own communication department, and they, of course, the pension fund, they know their people, the kind of the population and how to communicate. So they have some own ideas on how that should be done, and we just take that as a given. Of course, we interact on that and we kind of co-design, but basically we're following the pension fund in their requirements. Yeah, know where is the logo and what fonts, and also ultimately what kind of language to use.
Have you upgraded to a later version of iText Ditto to make use of any new features since your initial implementation, or do you have any plans to do so in the future?
Right. No, we stuck with the initial version for now. Just to give some context to that as well, we went live last year in January. So we were quite busy last year with the go live, with stabilization of the platform, just making sure everything works accordingly. There's also, you need to migrate a lot of data, and that takes quite some time. So to see the new features and kind of the ease of use of a newer iText version. Yeah. When we are ready for it, to put it simply.
How many different letter templates do you currently have in operation?
So it's about exactly, it's 269 according to the last Ditto file.
There we go. Yeah. Thank you. 269. Yeah. Yeah. So quite a lot, I think.
Yeah. And of course, these are both languages, so English and Dutch. So half of it is unique.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, exactly. 269, and then you divide it by 2. Yeah, that gives you the different types.
You mentioned implementing an initial proof of concept before you went into production with iText Ditto. How long did that take?
A couple of months, but as I said, we had a kind of lean startup, so we started really small, with a small team that would fit in one room. Those were good days, and we generated, I think, 2 or 3 different letters. But then as we grew in team size, also we grew in the approach. So we went kind of from a one room team. We started then a project phase, so we ramped up to 2 teams, and then we went into kind of program phase. So we went to 4 teams and then 6, and now we are 10 teams IT. So there's always something to prove, I would say, but the proof of concept itself, it was a couple of months, something like a quarter or a little over a quarter of a year. And then we had to prove lots of things, not just letter generation, but basically the feasibility of the entire platform. And this was just part of that. And of course, as I said, we needed to do some performance testing and testing at volume to know that we can generate this at sufficient volume.
You already mentioned that Capgemini was not already an iText customer. So how did you hear about iText? Was anyone in your team familiar with the iText PDF library?
No, I think we just researched it. I had an architect that just researched it for us. And he said, look, there are basically 2 or 3 solutions we had back in the day. And that's it. We just looked at the features and, as I said, look at the features and whether it fit what we needed it to do. And it's a long time ago, Xander. I think it was reasonably easy as well for us to use. So obviously we're interested in something that has quite some ease of use for IT to develop new letters and maintain different letters and things like that. And it just basically worked. So that was the end of that story. We signed up with iText.
What was it about iText Ditto as a solution that attracted you? Was it the template design experience, the PDF generation capabilities, or the whole package?
No, everything, right? It's all dimensions. So of course, whether or not it would easily integrate technically, ease of use of templates is another dimension. How easy is it to set up a new template, maintain a template, do this in 2 languages? But you have to bear in mind, back in the day, we were just trying to get the job done as well, right? So it's as soon as something worked, our next point of attention was how do we get agreement on 200 different letter types with business and agree on the actual text and format and spelling errors, and so that's kind of how that went. So ease of use definitely is one, but cost effectiveness is the other. Ease of maintenance, is it something that we can basically run and not have to worry about it too much? Can it handle the volumes? Will it be cost effective? It's all those things, and then you take a decision. And
Did you require any help from the iText support team when integrating it into your solution, or to achieve a specific task?
I think we had some support in the beginning, but it was relatively straightforward. Xander, if you want to add to that, maybe don't know how well you remember. It's a few years ago, but I think it was relatively
I think it was only at the start.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just a little bit support at the start, and then we could basically carry on ourselves, and even taught business people how to work with this. So that means it's relatively you don't have to be super technical to work with this. So that's always a plus.
So you have non-developers involved in the creation of templates.
Yeah, to an extent, of course. There's always we use a lot of technical parameters, right? So a lot of data that's used in the letters are actually generated. Is data that's generated by the platform and inserted. So that's very technical, and we'll keep that with IT. Thank you very much. But a lot of the kind of the normal natural text and things like that, yeah, business can do it. Yeah, for sure. And that's a plus, because otherwise, you have a guy that tells a guy to do a thing. It's better if they do it themselves. So that's kind of how we like to split it. We'll do the technical stuff, and business can talk also to the pension fund and change some wording or.
Do you have any templates that require any complex branding or design elements? For example, specific font styling or visual requirements?
Some of the times, yeah, some of the times. It doesn't look complex once you figured out how to have the layout the way you want it to. But some of the times there are some spacing requirements. Also, we have, it's sometimes simple things. We have a printing partner, and they print the documents for us and they put it in an envelope with a transparent window, and that all needs to line up perfectly. And if you make a mistake, then the address falls out of the transparent window and doesn't get delivered. So it's those finicky details that we have sometimes, but once you figured it out, it's done. It works. Apart from that, not really unique requirements. There were some visuals that needs to be included at a particular position. So yeah, we spent some time in the beginning figuring out the thing, but it's the same problem any web developer will have with a company website. How do I fit all this and make sure it looks nice and everything lines up straight and things like that.
Are there any specific features you would like to see in iText Ditto which are not currently supported?
I think maybe Xander, since you're working with it, you have more experience working with it directly. But I think some version control, that's a bit easier for us, would be probably better, right? And that's why we're looking to upgrade to a new version. Yeah. So Xander, maybe you can fill in.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, I'm not sure if iText already supports version control, but yeah, we've had some issues with that in the past. Regarding version control, because we're working with different environments. As you can imagine, we have a development environment, then we take that to some testing environment to get it tested, and eventually we'll go into production. We have had some issues with that. So that might be a nice item to add to iText. And I'm trying to think what were the other challenges that we faced. So maybe I'll come back to that later.
Yeah, Xander. So we also talked to iText about that new version. And certainly the impression I got from that is that it's a lot easier in that new version. But the main thing that's stopping us now is if we migrate, we also need to align with business to have enough time on the business side to test all the new, to make sure all the letters still work fine and everything. And as we said, we have different things on our mind right now in January 22. But certainly sometime this year we will consider to migrate.
Can you describe the value proposition of iText Ditto to Capgemini, or what does it enable you to achieve?
It's difficult to express maybe value, because in essence it's an essential part of the service. It's even communication in letters, whether you send them digitally and store as PDF or you have it printed physically, there are some of these letters are legally required, right? So it's not a trivial thing. The letters we send, they carry some weight to it, especially if somebody's married or going through divorce or things like that, and there's some kind of settlement. That's very important. So how do you set the value to a critical component of your system? It's we need it to work, basically, and we have quite some complexity in the letters, so we need it to work well, and in case it doesn't, that would be a serious matter for us. So it's unlike a normal retail shop where you're basically selling stuff. You might send like a newsletter or some ad, some folder with your latest discounts out. That's important in a commercial sense, but for us it's important for business operations. So it's not very easy to just tag a value to that, at least not numerically. It's a critical component, and we treat it as such. It's essential that the printing works.
I'm interested to learn more about your document management solution and exactly how you integrate the Salesforce data into the iText Ditto templates. Could you provide some more details on its architecture?
I can give it a stab. As I said, we've built an architectural integration layer on Microsoft Azure. We have iText running on a virtual machine. So we've got Salesforce calls out an API that generates a letter, and that letter gets generated as a PDF, with all the branding and everything, and we store it. And then once a day we take everything, all these newly generated PDFs, and we take them out of their storage and we send them to a printing partner in a kind of a batch, and then the printing partner runs a printing batch, and then they put everything in envelopes. So technically, we decoupled everything with REST APIs. So there's an API call out to the virtual machine that generates the PDF and returns the PDF, and we put it in storage, digital storage, and then that's kind of how it works. And also, of course, participants they need to be able to see the letters. So after it, let's say we send it by physical mail, right? Because that still happens quite a lot. People still want physical paper, believe it or not. But at the same time, they can access this letter because it's stored digitally. They can access it through their personal portal, so they can log in. using authentication, and then they can get to their documents. So even if they have it as a physical letter, they can always go back and look at the digital archive.
So documents are generated on the fly, as and when they are required.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. Because some people, of course, they have a digital preference, so they just get an email without the document. They get an email, say we've generated this letter for you, and it's on your portal, so they can go and find all their documents on the portal for the digital age. But the people that are retired right now, they're kind of, they're on the threshold. Some of them, you got some sassy grandmas out there, but a lot of people, they still are a bit old fashioned, right? They like to have just the envelope with the paper, and they put it in their folder at home. But for those digital natives, they can also have everything grouped together on their portal. I think, quite easy for them.
Would you say iText Ditto has saved you time in template design and development, or in any other areas?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. We went with this. It's literally a startup, right? So, and it's a unique kind of project as well in our company. I've been with the company for more than 20 years, and I know of one instance of this kind of a full outsourcing deal. I'm pretty sure there are others, but it's relatively unique. So it's really very difficult for us to compare it with anything else. But as I said, it works for what we intend to do, and we're quite pleased with it. So that's why we're sticking with iText at the moment. How much time it will save? Well, it will save time. You don't have to type the letters, that's for sure. And also that's what we are exploring. So to also have kind of more ad hoc type of letters, maybe to build a kind of front end where you can just type in some text, just press a button, and you can customize. That's something we're exploring this year probably. You can generate your own letter on the fly and still have it look official and formal.
Have you had any interest from within Capgemini with regards to repurposing your document management solution to achieve other tasks, or was it designed specifically for the pension fund team?
No, I don't think so, because we specifically targeted this pensions. So it's known internally also as a pensions solution. So we definitely get interest from the company. Believe you me, we sometimes get more interest than we want to. But people are definitely interested. But we've positioned this really as an overall pensions solution. And that's I think how we are perceived internally as well.
Have you considered using any other iText products in conjunction with iText Ditto, or to perform other tasks?
Not explored that really. Yeah, so we're always open to talk, but not explored that. We've got some things still lined up on the roadmap that we're busy with right now. But we should talk about it.
To wrap up our questions for today, do you have any advice for other companies that might be looking to develop similar solutions to yours?
Yeah, I think looking back at how we experienced all this, just start would be advice number one. Yeah, don't debate for too long. If something, do your architecture, and if things fit in your architecture, just start with it. It's the best proof point of your architecture, is just to start building and using it. So that would be my general advice. And the second advice is really break through the silos. Start at the beginning already discussing how to deal with letters and templates immediately with business. So there is a kind of technical phase in the beginning where, with your architecture and your developers and legends like Xander, you figure out how to make something work. And as soon as you're comfortable that it works, immediately involve business and start thinking about how do we use this communication channel, and who's going to be designing the guidelines for the outputs, and do all that in parallel with starting to produce these letters and designing them. Yeah, that'd be my advice. Yeah, just get started and drive it as a cross-functional team as early as possible.
Many thanks for taking the time to talk to us, Gideon and Xander, and telling us about your experience with iText Ditto and your solution. Thank you for listening to our podcast. Find more of our webinar recordings, examples, talks, and so much more on our YouTube channel. If you're curious to try out iText Ditto to see how it could help you simplify the process of PDF creation, click the link in the show notes to get a free trial. The iText 7 SDK can be embedded into document solution workflows in industries such as legal, finance, governance, IT, operations, and more. Our software has grown out of the open source space, and we still believe in the value of open source software. Since 2009, iText has been dual licensed, with AGPL and commercial licenses for those who wish to keep their source code private. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to send an email to marketing@itextpdf.com. See you next time.